Just don't cry. You can rely on me, honey. You can combine anything you want. I'll be around. You were right about the stars. Each one is a setting sun.
Welcome everyone to the Armchair Philosopher podcast. I'm your host for the show. My name is Sean DeRager, and I want to thank you first for just checking this out. I got this idea a few days ago, and I used to have a movie podcast, and then before that I did a podcast that involved indie music, where I played music and talked to bands and stuff like that. But recently I've been kind of on a theology, philosophy type of journey, so I figured I would start this up and see where it goes. So it's the first show, so it's gonna be a bit rocky, so I'm just gonna jump in feet first and see how it goes. So welcome to the show. I guess first of all, I need to, I'm gonna try to lay the groundwork for what I want the show to be. I started doing a lot of research in different things, different faiths, different worldviews and stuff like that, and started looking for podcasts that I can possibly listen to. And I found a handful, but the problem with the podcasts that I found was each one had its own agenda. There's an atheist podcast. They have an atheist agenda. There's a skeptic podcast that I check out. But it has a skeptic's agenda. There's a few theology podcasts. They have a Christian agenda. So I figured, I have such a wide variety of friends, and I might as well just start a show and just start having a conversation with them. It's gonna be people I've known for quite a while, new people I've met. I'm hoping to eventually, get into actually like authors, interview them and talk to them about where their journey has taken them, and so we'll see where it goes. Should be fun. Let me get my notes here. I trying to be organized for this first one, because it's just gonna be me talking at you, the listener. So it's a bit awkward for me because I'm more of a conversationalist. I'm more of, talk and then, hear what you have to say or whoever I'm talking to has to say. So me by myself, I'm not comfortable. So I'm hoping, maybe one of these days I'll get comfortable doing it. But, so what I want to do with the show is, I'm hoping to do some interviews. And I'm hoping most shows have interviews. I know there's, throughout the week, there's going to be news stories and stuff like that, with related towards religion and things like that. That I definitely, I crowd up my Facebook so much with these posts. I'm sure that most of my friends and acquaintances kind of get sick of it. So I'm hoping to kind of move that energy into this and actually maybe talk about a few of these news stories I've seen during the week and give my opinion of them. And then I would love feedback. I'd love comments on the Facebook. I'll get to all the contact information later where you can find the show and stuff. But I would love a conversation with you, the listener, and as well as these people that I'll be interviewing. So we'll see how it goes. But I don't know. I'm just kind of figuring this out as I go. So, but I definitely want a conversation. And I don't want a one-sided conversation. So I figured I would throw this out there and see if I can get feedback from my friends who are listening and those of you who don't know me, who found the show somehow. So I'm hoping for some fun. I'm hoping for, it could get heavy at times, I guess, but I want more of a lighthearted show. So, because I'm not I guess I get intense sometimes, but I'm not. I guess from my Facebook, you'd think some of my friends from Facebook, people who've known me for quite a while, probably think that I've just taken a turn for the worse and have gotten all dark and everything, because a lot of my posts on the news stories I find out, I look at and want to comment on are fairly negative, because I comment on stuff that blows my mind. Like, recently there's a senator that posted on his Facebook that he thought that all gay people should die because they're like a blight on society or something like that. Of course, I'm gonna have a response and of course post that to Facebook. So I'm hoping to get the negativity out of my Facebook and these conversations from my just posts all the time, bring them into the show. And I did set up a page for this show on Facebook. So, but I'm not 100% a negative person. It's just like I guess I'm most vocal on things that kind of take me by surprise or blow my mind. So, but I'm a generally upbeat and positive person. So I'm hoping to get balance both sides of my persona here. But so what I want to accomplish with this podcast is, I want to have a non-biased conversation, both with you, the listener, and with my guests. So, of course, we all have our biases, but in the course of the conversation, I want to kind of let those who I'm interviewing and you who are listening kind of guide the conversation and hear what you have to say. So that's a very important thing. This show is definitely not going to be censored. So, so if a word pops out and somebody says a word, it's going to happen, and there's not going to be any apologies for it. So I know I'm going to probably have a mixed listenership of Christians, non-Christians, Muslim, whatever, people who don't believe in anything. I really look forward to having a wide variety of people. So, I'm going to let things fly. I'm not going to censor it. I'm not going to, somebody says the word fuck. I'm not going to, bleep it out or whatever. We're all adults. We can all hear, we use language every day, and, that's just how it's going to be. The funny thing is, like, normally I wouldn't even say anything, but because I know I come from a Christian background, so I know a lot of my friends and family are on Facebook and everything like that. And so I'm always kind of self-censoring myself anyway, but I'm not going to, for the show. We're just going to let things fly and see how it goes. So, and of course I want to enter a discussion with all faiths. So, just because I have a Christian background doesn't mean that this is going to be a solely coming from any Christian perspective. I really want to get, just cover the wide variety of faith, that, and non-faith that happen, that is in our society. I think it's really interesting. Religion to me is extremely interesting. And the fact that people can believe something and live their lives by a certain set of rules, and then a whole other group can live by a whole completely set of different rules is just really fascinating by me. And everyone thinks they're right. And everyone's trying to get everyone else to follow what they believe. So it's such a fascinating subject that I really hope to explore that during the show. So, so I think I've covered what I want the show to be. Like I said, I'm kind of just jumping in on here. So hopefully the next few shows are a little more organized, but if I don't just start somewhere, if I didn't just start it, I would have never started this podcast, because I'll always put it off until I'm ready, and you're never ready, so I'm just gonna jump into it. But so that's what I'll do. That's what I want to accomplish for the show. I hope that we can benefit from having conversation. I'm hoping not to ramble too much. I am a rambler, but like I said, I'm better in. I know that I'm better in a conversation. And I'm not fully comfortable with just letting it be all about me. And really, I don't want that show to be all about me. But for this show, it has to be. I got to start somewhere. So put up with my my slight bit of uncomfortableness. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I will let you guys know a little bit more about me. But first up, I'm going to play a little bit of David Bazan. The song is called Virginia, off his newish album, Strange Negotiations.
Virginia, I had a dream. You invited us over. You still lived on the street where you laid down for good. We all sat on the floor as my kids swam around us. You smoked cigarettes like I knew you would. We were worried about your personal salvation. Was it heaven or hell that you saw when your eyes closed? You smiled at us, floating high above the question, like you knew something we didn't know. Virginia, I had a dream. We were closer than brothers, singing pictures of you, crashing cars, skipping school. We drove all over town as the days blurred around us. We wore out your cassettes. We were nobody's fool. They were worried about our high school graduation. They read us a poem, oh, the places you'll go. You smiled it off, floating high above the question, like you knew something they didn't know.
So I guess I should let all of you know a little bit about myself, about my journey. I mean, I was raised in a Christian home. We lived in Northern California, and I have memories of a couple churches there. I know that first we went to when I was very, very young. And my cats are having a heyday right now. There's a church called the Fellowship of the Living God, I believe, and that was the first church that I was involved in. But I was really young, so a lot of my memories are. I have some memories. It was a Christian school, and I know there's a lot of young people there. And eventually, my parents ended up leaving that church, and a lot of people did. I know I've had some conversations with my mom and dad about it, and it was kind of did turn into kind of a cult type church where the leader of the church did have, I guess, people would rely on his every word and not necessarily think for themselves, and he kind of got a little, from what I've heard, power. I don't know, power hungry is the wrong word, but they weren't following what would be, I guess, a fully based on the Bible church. So my parents ended up going to a Lutheran church after that, and for the rest of my middle school and stuff like that, I went to a Lutheran school. And my first experience with like public school and not going to a school with everyone who pretty much, I guess, believed the same thing. We were all young, so we're all learning, Christian education and stuff like that. So my parents ended up moving from Northern California to Iowa, and that was my first bout of public school, and if you're raised in a Christian home and you go to all Christian school and everything like that, Christians or public school is this big thing that you're going into, a school full of many different beliefs, and you need to watch yourself, and you need to be careful who you're friends with and things like that. And then it turns out, there's 60 people in my class. It's a small town in Iowa. I was not a fan of living in Iowa. You make the most of it. I have fond memories, but I know that a lot of my younger days, and this was when I was about 10 through college, there's frustration because I didn't like it there, for the most part. Like I said, I made friends. I do have fond memories of Iowa, but I didn't want to be there. So there's a lot of kind of, I guess, internal frustration. And my parents went to a church, tried a couple different churches, but the thing that my parents had to deal with was from the first church they went to, the Fellowship of the Living God, they had some kind of hurt there, or they were kind of scared that they would get, I guess, sucked into another church like that. So they were very skeptical of these other churches. They always wanted to go, you need to go to a Bible believing church, a Bible preaching church. And so they tried a couple churches in the northern Iowa area, and I know they tried a Lutheran church there. And my dad had some reservations about that church, and then we ended up going to an evangelical church nearby, and that was pretty much the church that I went through and dealt with, and that was the church, my home church all through high school, stuff like that. And it was a pretty fairly standard church. It was evangelical, not necessarily fundamentalist. It was a good church. Nothing too crazy, nothing. There's nothing too charismatic. It was a very kind of even keel church. I remember I couldn't stand the music, and when you're younger, you don't really, you always kind of get bored through the sermons and stuff like that. So, and I don't have any crazy fond memories of that church, but I did make a lot of friends there, and that was kind of my home church. So. And living in small town Iowa, you kind of going to a church out of town, at a different town is kind of cool because you're meeting friends from another town, and you see each other at different school functions and when there's a sporting event or something like that. So that was always very, so I guess that was beneficial. So, so like that's my younger church background. It's nothing too crazy happening. I know that, I remember my dad always seemed to end up pissing people off in the churches, and it's kind of like I wish I can kind of go back as an adult now and see what was going on. I know that my dad he wanted to teach. He kind of has that. He's always had a desire to kind of teach and help people learn, and he's very passionate about his Christian faith and what the Bible means to him, and. His ideas always didn't gel with other people, and when that didn't happen, it seemed like he may have tried to force the issue, and it, I don't have I remember my dad and my parents, they would go to we had friends in the church, and then as time goes on, those friends kind of distance themselves and kind of don't hang out as much. And then my parents have a new set of friends that kind of click with their ideas a little bit more. So that's my memories, and I'm sure if I have a conversation with my parents today, it's going to be it would be different. But those are my memories that I have. So I come from a very family that's very for the most part, I guess fundamentalist isn't a good word because I don't look at fundamentalists in a very positive light, but they're very much, we were taught that the Bible is 100% true, 100% historically accurate. If you don't draw near to Jesus, if you don't, you're saved. But I always had a feeling that if I screwed up, I could be heading back to hell. You better not have sex before marriage because, if you don't repent from that, you're going to hell. I was raised that if you're gay, you're going to hell. So all that stuff, and I'm sure there's more, and I'm sure more of this will come out the more that I do this show. But being raised like that, you kind of are in kind of a bubble, and you're looking at everyone kind of a bit suspicious, and everyone you meet that doesn't believe, that isn't a Christian, you're like, they're going to hell. So I had a hard time. I think I had a hard time processing that. I never quite believed that 100%. Like I had friends in school, and here we are in the big bad public school. They're going to teach you evolution, and they're okay with people being gay, and you better watch out. They're going to drag you down to hell. So it's kind of how I felt, but and as you can see, I'm a pretty sarcastic person, so I try not to be super sarcastic, and I'm sure it rubs some people the wrong way sometimes, so I'll try to curb that. But I'm basing all this off memory, and like I said, if I have conversations with my parents, I'm sure there'll be a different perspective. But I had friends, I had friends with different opinions, and we're all in high. Like, what do you know? What do you know when you're in junior high and middle school and high school? You don't know anything. You're still learning. You're still learning how to figure out this world. You're still trying to find your voice. So I had a rough time kind of going back and forth as far as, my Christian walk, my Christian faith. And I knew I always had to be good, and I needed to make the right friends. I needed to hang out with the right people. I needed to not drink, and I tried not to swear, and gotta watch out because if I could get sucked down the pathway of evil and stuff like that. And so high school, I think I just kind of coasted through high school. I had friends, and we hung out. I didn't party with anybody, and I was a fairly good kid. Didn't like math, hated math, and just try to be a good kid, keep my nose clean and stuff like that. I never really had a desire to go out and party and all that kind of stuff. And so I generally I was in a pretty safe environment. We didn't really. I guess we lived out in the country, so I couldn't really test the boundaries either. But then when I got out of high school, and then you're plopped into college, and and adulthood, and college is a completely different set of rules. So that's when I finally, that's when I started. For a while, I just kind of gave up on the whole Christian thing. I didn't care, I was making friends, I was trying to get through school, and it just wasn't high on my priority list. I just didn't care. I just wanted to get through school and kind of figure things out on my own, and I had a drink for the first time when I was in college, and that's when I learned that drinking a whole lot was not fun. I learned that you kind of see the people, other people, and I would always kind of see, I guess, gauge what I did based on what other people are doing. Like, oh, I don't want to end up like that guy. I don't want to. I always wanted to be in control. So I did drink, and I got drunk a few times, and it's all fun. You're feeling rebellious and everything like that. But I finally was able to kind of learn for myself, like what my tolerance would be and all that kind of stuff. And as far as like a Christian kid, person growing up, like a lot of people, I mean, I guess as a teenager, that's your time to kind of get all that out of your system and figure out where you're at. And mine was kind of delayed until college. Because in high school, I just didn't really want to talk about my faith. I didn't, some people, you kind of knew some people were Christian, some people weren't, and I just didn't even want the trouble. I would listen to, I remember it would be kind of up and down too, right? So I remember I would be, there's a time where I was listening to a lot of secular music back in high school, and my dad found it. And I had all my rap music in a drawer I had a little desk, and I hid all my rap music and my heavy metal stuff, my secular stuff, in a drawer. And I remember I forgot to lock it one day, and I came home, and my dad had all my CDs sitting on the table, and he was listening to them. And long story short, I mean, that wasn't a fun day. I remember being so nervous, and it was like it felt like, somebody found out that I murdered someone, you know what I mean? But it's like, but my dad had just found my music that had some cuss words and, some, in it. And, and with the rap stuff, some sexual stuff, of course. So we had a conversation about it. My dad he asked, I remember he asked me, what do these lyrics mean? Does it mean anything to you? And a lot of it for me, there was a couple things with that. I know I'm going back and forth, so just bear with me. I liked the music. No, first and foremost, it was about the music. The second bit of it was, it was a bit edgy. It was, I'm kind of walking the boundary between, being a Christian and Christian stuff and non-Christian stuff. And, there's a bit of that, a little bit of that rebellious side in there and that's why I had them, that's what drew me to the music, I guess, or drew me to those bands. But, so long story short, I had to burn all my music, a lot of which I've gotten since I got into college. I've pretty much rebought all of it. I had to burn the music, and then I can only listen to Christian music. And some Christian music's okay, a lot of Christian music sucks. It's just the way it is. There's something about it. It is not as good as standard music. I don't even like using the word secular. So that was that was like my most rebellious point in high school, was listening to, Ice Cube and Pearl Jam. So to kind of put in perspective, like that was like the worst thing I ever did in high school. And then here I was in college, like all of a sudden going to parties and trying a little bit of marijuana and trying alcohol. And so as being raised in a Christian home, there's that thing in the back of your head, like, oh my gosh, if I die right now, I'm going to hell. I am straight up in sin. And so I was constantly going through the back of my head in college, and putting myself through college and working, and getting in relationships and things like that, and kind of learning the ropes, learning how to be an adult and function on my own. But in the back of my mind, there's always the, I am not right. I'm not walking with God. I'm not doing the right thing. So eventually, after college, and I went to community college for a couple years, took a year off. I was in a pretty serious relationship. I took a year off to kind of figure out what I was going to do, where I was going to go, because at that time I thought, I might marry this person. So I need to really start getting serious about stuff. And I did that, and I took that year off, and then I decided, get my shit together, and then I went, got things into play in all lined up to go to a nearby college that had a great communications program. That's where I learned radio and all that kind of stuff at this college. So I don't know where I'm going with all this, but I'm just kind of spilling my guts here. A little perspective on me. So during that time, I don't want to give too much information away. That's the thing. Yeah. How honest do I want to be on this podcast, right? Who's listening? I felt like at the time, because of the guilt that I'd racked up, here I was, I'm drinking alcohol. I'm in a relationship. I'm not in a relationship with a Bible believing Christian, or like a true Christian. All this guilt racked up. I'm having sex before marriage. So I ended, the relationship ended up taking its course and ending. And I'm not, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that could have ended it, but at that time I was trying to get back into church. But before the relationship ended, I was trying to get back into church. I was trying to be better. I had even more guilt racked up on me. And that could have possibly started spiraling the relationship out of control. But that relationship ended, and I finished college. And in college, I kind of went to church here and there, and all this time, like my Christian faith is there, and I'm kind of growing a little bit, kind of learning, but no, I'm not really challenging anything. I'm not really questioning anything. I'm just kind of believing, and I'm just kind of, man, I really hope I don't go to hell. That's the main thing. I hope, I hope I'll go to heaven. And so I guess that's some of my background. I ended up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, working for a Christian band. I could never. I always feel like I needed to get in and be close to Christian people. Work, So I ended up working for a Christian band, and that was great. I learned a lot, and I learned a lot about Christian music and the behind the scenes, and Christian music's just the music business. It's music marketed to Christians, and that's when I started to learn that there's this whole subculture of business that was marketing to Christians. And it's really unique because, you don't have Muslim bands. You don't have, Mormon bands that have their little Mormon record label, or a Muslim record label. For some reason, evangelical Christians have it down on how to market their faith. And I learned a lot about business and a lot of stuff that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, mixing business and religion. I learned a lot of things being on the road with the band. I was on the road with this band called Pillar, and all great guys. And you learn when you're on tour, especially even with Christians. Like we're all just people trying to figure this out, trying to figure out this life, trying to figure out this world. Why are we here? And these guys in these Christian bands, they have an added pressure of, I'm kind of a spokesperson for Christianity. I got these young Christians looking at me, and if I fuck up, I'm gonna fuck them up. So I think right here, this will be a good time to take another little break here. This is one of my all-time favorite songs. This is a singer-songwriter. His name is Noah Gunderson, and the song is called Jesus, Jesus.
Jesus, Jesus, could you tell me what the problem is with the world and all the people in it? Because I've been hearing stories about the end of the world, but I'm in love with a girl and I don't want to leave her. And the television screams such hideous things. They're talking about the war on the radio. They say the whole thing's gonna blow, and we will all be left alone. No, we'll be dead, and we won't know what hit us. Jesus, Jesus, if you're up there, won't you hear me? 'Cause I've been wondering if you're listening for quite a while. And Jesus, Jesus, it's such a pretty place we live in, and I know we fucked it up, but please be kind. Don't let us go out like the dinosaurs, or blown to bits in a third world war. There are 100 different things I'd still like to do. I'd like to climb to the top of the Eiffel Tower, look up from the ground at a meteor shower, and maybe even raise a family. Jesus, Jesus, there are those that say they love you, but they have treated me so goddamn mean. And I know you said forgive them, for they know not what they do. But sometimes I think they do, and I think about you. And if all the heathens burn in hell, do all their children burn as well? What about the Muslims and the gays and the unwed mothers? And what about me and all my friends? Are we all sinners if we sin? Does it even matter in the end if we're unhappy? Jesus, Jesus, I'm still looking for answers, though I know that I won't find them here tonight. But Jesus, Jesus, could you call me if you have the time? And maybe we could meet for coffee and work it out. And maybe then I'll understand what it's all about.
I remember when I would find out, when I found out that Amy Grant had an affair, I couldn't believe it. How could this woman of God who wrote all these Christian songs have an affair, you know? Is she going to hell now? Like, what's going on? So through all this, you kind of learn, you kind of get a glimpse of the behind the curtain that, you know, a lot of Christians try to put on a perfect face, and this happens with Christian bands, Christian singer-songwriters, with churches. Everyone tries to put their best face forward, and nobody wants to be real and transparent. And that really rubbed me the wrong way. You kind of start seeing the seedy underbelly when you work in the kind of a Christian industry. You start seeing the seedy underbelly of business decisions, not faith decisions, not, you know, but it all boils down to the bottom dollar, you know, in the Christian music industry. So that was kind of another kind of hint that that was building my journey, my faith journey, right? So I didn't really want to associate myself with the praise Jesus people. I have faith. I believe, you know, I felt that there's no way we're alone. You know, that this world is so gigantic. You know, I just kind of believe, you know what? Jesus was real. He died for my sins. We may not know it all. We don't know it all. I'm going to love other people. And that's pretty much how I've lived my life. And, so I was bumming around Tulsa, Oklahoma, working for the band off and on, had a few jobs, and I met my wife. She was going to a Bible school there. I met her and we clicked. And the way we clicked was amazing. There's certain things where do you chalk it up to chance? Do you chalk it up to just the universe, the planets aligning, or is there something bigger kind of moving the pieces? And the way that her and I met, I fully believe that it was a divine intervention, if you want to call that, or it was bigger than the both of us. So we met and we moved out to California. And I got involved in her church, and it's a Bible-believing church, and a lot of good people running the church. And so we've been going to that church, and when we can, she works on the weekends, so it makes things a little bit hard it made things a little bit hard for us, to go. But so I ended up working for a Christian clothing company, a Christian retail company. And I felt when I was working I started in the retail stores, and I felt finally I was kind of making impact. I was meeting people, talking to people, showing people love, and when you're in the Christian community surrounded by Christians, it's all lovey-dovey and everything's great, because you're surrounded by your like-minded people. So that was really, that was good for me to be around like-minded people, and I really enjoyed working in those stores. I was also working in a restaurant, so it was a nice little change of pace. You're kind of in a safe zone, selling these Christian products. And I ended up getting a job at the corporate office. And it was my first big job, and it was great. And it was great. It was a really good job. A lot of great people working there. But then again, the seedy underbelly of mixing business and religion started rearing its ugly head again. And I had a lot of frustration with that job. And I don't know if I'm not going to go into it here. I do want to do a podcast on Christian marketing and stuff like that. But there's a lot that I just, you're Christians working together, and you're trying to be good and respectful of each other. But then you have to also meet your sales goals. And I was doing, they had a clothing line, and I was doing wholesale, both sales, a little bit of sales, but I was doing account management kind of, and involved with, the numbers, and we were selling wholesale to other stores who would sell the product and stuff like that. So you start seeing these two forces butting heads, and things get ugly, things get ugly. There's just no way around it. People get laid off, people get fired, people don't meet their goals, things happen. But for the most part, it's pretty positive, but the owner was a downer. He was like probably the most negative person I think that I ever met, and he was leading the company. He was leading the company, and just, man, the guy knew how to just bring things down, and very focused on, of course, a business has to run, so business has to make X amount of dollars, right? So he has that going. He's also out there. He has speaking engagements and stuff like that, but the whole goal is like, man, everyone is so lost, and we need to share the gospel, and we need to do this because they're just lost. They're all lost, and it's just, I don't know. So having that in a business setting where I just wanted to sit there, and I really just wanted to work and get my job done and get out of there. I was kind of behind the scenes corporate office. I didn't want to get involved in this stuff, and we were required to have a Bible study and every Wednesday, and it's just, after a while, that just, I guess, just started grating on me, and then the shit hit the fan. The thing that pretty much changed my outlook, because up till this point, trying to do good, trying to learn more, trying to be the best Christian that I could. Even though there's things I disagreed with what I saw in the churches I would go to, in these businesses I worked for, I was all about just, really Christ teach love, and you really should, and that's the biggest thing is love. And I was really at a good place, kind of content and, wanting to learn. And then late one night, we get a phone call, and my brother-in-law had been in an automobile accident, and he was pretty much brain dead at the time. He was brain dead. And he had struggled with a lot of things, just like anyone. I mean, he was like me when I was in my 20s, We didn't have that big of an age difference, but he was going through the same shit that I did, trying to figure this all out. And I remember my father-in-law always going to the front of the church and trying to intercede and pray for his son. Right? That he would turn the corner, he would stop with the drinking, and I don't know if there's drugs or anything like that, ever like that, but he was doing what any college-age person would do. Go out on the weekends, hang out with friends, drink a little bit too much, be stupid, make dumb decisions. It's all part of being in your 20s. And I saw my father-in-law going up to church praying. It really broke him up that his son wasn't coming to church with us. He had kind of had a falling out or whatever. But he had worked for the church for a while and got let go, and that messed with him. So he was dealing with that, just like anyone would at that age. So pretty much for me, seeing my father-in-law trying to pray for his son, trying to get his son back in the church, trying to be there for him. And right before the accident, my brother-in-law was really starting to get his stuff together. He was trying to work out. He was working for a job. He was working for one of the city council members doing land development stuff, and he was learning how to, he had to dress up for work, be at work on time, and he was finally starting to get it together, just like I did when I finally started getting stuff together, figuring out how to work on my own, make my own money, make my own decisions, be responsible. And he'd bought a truck, and he wanted to get involved with the church. He was trying to quit smoking. He was really trying to start getting his shit together. And then one night we get a call that he's been in a car accident. So my brother-in-law ended up dying that night or the next day. And this whole experience had a toll on me. Took a toll on me. Sorry, my cat. It took a toll on me as far as my faith went. And that was about 5 years ago. So I stopped working at the Christian company. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't see God. I was pissed off at God. Why would this happen? Why would this happen? You ask these questions when someone and someone you're close to dies. Why them? Why when he's finally starting to get his stuff together, does he make a normal 20-something mistake? And why does he have to die? So it fucked me up. It messed me up. So I stopped that job, and I actually started working for his former employer, because him and I were very similar in what we liked to do, and I figured I can come in, and I was close to him, so I can kind of pick up the ball where he left it and kind of sort things out, and it was a chance for me to learn and grow as well. And And it was a good job, you know. It was rough sitting in his desk. You know, I was like, why the hell did I do this? Why did I start working where he did? And that messed with me too. But I was glad to be out of a Christian job, because with what I've seen and what I've been through and everything, and like I said, the more shows that happen, I'll probably more of this will spill out. But just faith and business, it's not a good mix. It doesn't mix. It doesn't mix that well. It's like oil and water. So I was glad to be out of that. And so that started my seeking, right? I things weren't as, rosy and cheery as, your Christian glasses kind of fall off and get broken. You see the world for what it truly is, which the world, just stuff happens every day. Innocent people die every single day. And there's nothing we can do about it. And so that's when I started having these questions on, if God's such an all-powerful, all-loving God, why is he letting all these innocent people die so horribly? And meanwhile, we got child molesters and rapists just walking around, nothing bad happening to them. But then, so that was my mindset. So for a while, I was kind of, going to church, trying to go to church. I didn't want to, but I was pretty much, for the most part, borderline agnostic, tinkering on atheism. So I was just kind of in a stagnant place for a few years like that, and not really studying anything and not really learning anything, and kind of just kind of avoiding the conversation of religion altogether. And, there would be things, and my wife and I would talk, and we would talk about stuff, and it's like I still had that Christian faith in me. It was just shattered. And I didn't know really who to talk to about it. And I started reading books and talk to my brother about things and trying to read different things. But with a wife and 2 kids, it's really hard to sit down and read anything. But so here I was kind of swirling around, right? I didn't really know what I believed. And all I knew was that there are innocent people dying. There are people being persecuted by Christians. I started seeing the church, because once the gay marriage thing started coming into play and more in politics and more of a front and center, I started seeing just all this hate speech from these churches aimed at, the gay and lesbian, I guess the LGBT community. And that really rubbed me the wrong way by the Christian church. So here I was trying to struggle with my faith, trying to patch things up and put things back together. But I didn't want to be associated with these people that were spewing all this hate towards these group of people. So that's kind of kept me at bay too, as like, man, maybe I don't want to be associated with these people. So that's kind of where I am, I guess. I'm kind of circling faith. I'm on my own faith journey, and I'm a little through things I've read. I mean, I've read things from you listen to debates between Christopher Hitchens and there's some other people. I should probably have some stuff up here on my screen so I can actually know who I'm talking about. But I started listening, to a lot of debates between Christians and atheists about evolution. I started listening to podcasts geared towards the atheist community about people, ministers. There's a couple evangelical ministers. His name is Dan Barker was an evangelical preacher that is now an atheist. So all this stuff started fascinating me, and I started just almost freebasing this stuff, just lining up and listening to it, going to work, listening to debates, listening to these podcasts, trying to balance it out with the Christian perspective as well. But it's hard to find a good, unbiased, I guess, Christian podcast. And I did find a few, and listening to those, Jay Baker has been a huge help in kind of keeping me grounded so I know that not all Christians are complete bigots and assholes. Like, there are some people out there fighting the good fight for what they believe is the gospel of grace. And that's the one thing I really connected with was the gospel of grace. But there would be things in the Bible that I would read that would go against that. Things in Paul's letters, saying that women need to cut their hair or shouldn't cut their hair, need to cover their heads, that they shouldn't speak. Homosexuality is an abomination. All this stuff, and then don't even get me started on the Old Testament. I don't know where I stand on the Old Testament. Still working that out. But so there's been a sprinkling of people. N.T. Wright is a very I feel dumb when I listen to him because he's such at a level above me as far as theology goes. But he's a little bit forward thinking, different. He's different than the normal evangelical fundamentalist preaching, whereas the Bible is the inspired word of God. We need to read the Bible, follow the Bible to the T, what it says, no matter what, and it's 100% true. So I'm listening to all this stuff. I'm kind of getting I started getting learning things about the Bible. There's a guy by the name of Bart Ehrman who has written a handful of books, kind of questioning the authenticity of the Bible, and he's a biblical scholar. Very heady, and like I said, like when I read this stuff, I feel like I'm stupid and can't understand it. Started reading some of his books. I read, oh shoot, I can't remember right now. But anyway, I'll like I said, I'll be talking about this and a lot more as weeks go on, I'm sure. So I'm listening to all this stuff, kind of getting all these different perspectives, and I agree with some things from what this person said. I agree with some things from what this person said here. I agree with what this Christian saying here. There's all of a sudden, like, my worldview doesn't line up with pretty much. I feel like my worldview didn't line up with with anyone. I'm not an atheist. I don't think I will ever be an atheist. I think that there is so much unknown in the world that we can't say we know it all. And atheists say they know for sure there is no God. Well, there's too many variables. There's too many variables to that argument. I don't know if I'll ever figure it out. Maybe I can consider myself an agnostic. I don't know. However, I connect with the Christian faith more than anything else that I've read so far. So I guess that, that's where I'm at. I read a book. There's a book that my brother told me to read, and I started reading it, called The Reflective Christian. And I don't have time to really go into it right now, but The Reflective Christian, the book is called The Myth of Certainty. And it really started speaking with me about, maybe this is where I am. Maybe I can align myself with this as a reflective Christian. Someone who's not afraid to ask the tough questions. Someone who's not afraid not to know it all. Someone who's not afraid to kind of be pissed off at God every now and then. Someone who's not afraid to doubt. So I'm reading this book, and we'll see where we'll see where I come out. But my perspective is basically, if you think you know it all, if you think you know without a shadow of a doubt, what you believe, right? You probably are doing something wrong, because as the human race is constantly growing and evolving, and we're learning new things. And if you cut yourself off from learning anything new, then that's a problem. So I don't ever want to be that kind of person that is just, you know what, I'm content with this little patch right here, this little sliver of belief. This is where I'm at. I'm not going to grow anymore. And don't talk to me. You're wrong. And I'm right. And that's it. And we're not going to have a conversation. I'm going to tell you what you should think. And I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. So that's what I don't want to be. So I guess I would have a reflective Christian bias on this show, I guess. But I'm going to try to be as unbiased. My goal is to be unbiased. So That's right. That's it's a little bit about me. I hope that all made sense, and I'm kind of rambling, and it's complicated, right? Like life is complicated. And I never want to be a person who claims they know it all. I never do. I want to be on my deathbed still with questions. I mean, it'd be nice if I can get some answers. I mean, hell, it'd be nice if Jesus came down and we got a cup of coffee and he can answer some questions, because I would really appreciate that. You know, we all, if you're a searching person like me, that would be the best thing to happen, right? Or an audible voice to come down and say, hey, you know what? You're on the right track. You veered off over here, but hey, I'm real, and you're keep on going. You know, it'd be nice if that happened, right? It'd be nice if sometime you were driving home and time stopped and the light shone down, and you got some wisdom, some revelation. But unfortunately, life's not like that. And unfortunately, it hasn't happened to me. So I'm just going on. I'm going on with it. I like asking tough questions. I like mixing up the pot. I like pushing the envelope on the conversation. If you 100% think you know it all and I'm wrong, I am definitely gonna push your buttons and try to mix things up a bit, because I guess that's the kind of the person that I am. So welcome to this show. Right. I hope you're not scared away. This show is not about me. The last thing I want to do is do this again and just talk to you guys for an hour. That it's not me, and I don't even know if I can re-listen to this or not. But I hope you've gotten something out of it. I hope you kind of know me a little bit better, and we can go from there. And these next, I'm so excited about this show, because there's so many people I want to talk to, and the show is going to be about their stories. So every week you're going to hear a new perspective, a new opinion, and a new story. And I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm going to learn, and we'll have conversations on the internet. You can go to the AxPx.com. The armchair philosopher is just way too gigantic to type in there. So from now on, I'll probably be calling this the AxPx show. But the website is theaxpx.com. You can follow me on Twitter at the AxPx, and I also set up a Facebook page, facebook.com/theaxpx. So join the conversation, tell your friends about it. Next week's show is actually going to be an interview. I want to talk to my longtime friend Erica Meyer about her journey. She's been on a pretty incredible journey the past few years, and we'll talk with her about that. And it's going to be fun. So I'm hoping to do maybe like a little news segment at the beginning, and then the interview, and then that'll be it. And then hopefully we all learn and we all can have a conversation. If you have questions for me, I would love to read emails and questions and all that kind of stuff. You can hit me up on Twitter. You can email Sean. My name is spelled Sean, like Sean Connery. Sean at theaxpx.com. And if you have ideas for interviews, if you know of anybody, if you think you have a story about your journey, send me an email. If you have Skype, we'll have a conversation. We'll record it and put it up as a show. This show can go on for so long because all of us are on our own journey. And that's the beautiful thing about being human. When I'm talking to my wife about this stuff, because we have conversations, and she's asking me, because she gets concerned with this journey that I am on, and she's totally, it's okay for her to be concerned, but she asked me, well, what do you believe? Like, are we here all by ourselves? Is there a God? Is there a creator? What do you think? And I can say that human beings are incredible. Like, we're the only species on this planet that's trying to figure out where the hell we all came from. Dogs don't do that. They're just happy sitting on your couch and chewing up your furniture, chewing up your underwear. Cats don't question where they are. They come to you, you feed them, they're happy, then they go back to sleep. We're the only species on this planet that's trying to figure out where we come from and what runs the cosmos, and is there a God, and how did we get here? Why are we here? We're the only species that does that. So to me, right now where I am in my journey, that speaks a lot. And let's figure this out together. Let's there's not going to be any Christianese in this. There's not going to be any praise Jesuses. There's not going to be any, I'm not going to call anybody brother or sister. I want real and raw conversation. And, the good stuff, the ugly stuff, that's what I hope I can bring to the table with this show. And I hope you guys join this journey with me and join the conversation. And it's going to be fun. All right. I'm kind of wrapping up. I'm kind of going in circles, wrapping up here. So find me on Facebook, facebook.com/theAxPx, and Twitter, the AxPx on Twitter. And I got videos. I'm not sure how I'm going to run the website yet, but I'm going to probably do essays. And if you're a writer and you have things you want to write about, let me know. Maybe you can be a guest publisher or whatever, a guest writer, and we'll fill up the website with interesting articles and stuff like that. So there we go. I hope you guys have a great week, and hope you enjoy the show. I really, I'm going to go back and listen to the show, and I know that there's going to be things that I'm going to be like, why did I say that? And I probably got facts wrong, and my mom and dad are going to probably listen to this and go, what are you talking about? So mom and dad, if you're listening, I probably got some things wrong, but this show is all about honest conversation and just kind of letting things get out there. And I was telling my wife this morning, and we need to live our lives like that. Everyone is so concerned with how they're perceived. They don't let their real selves come out. And, you're working at a job and you don't want to bring up religion at the job with your coworkers, right? You meet someone new. Last thing you want to bring up is religion and politics. The last thing you want to discuss. Why is that? Why can't we have a conversation? Why can't we respect each other's opinions? Why can't we love and respect people who aren't like us? And that's where I'm at, and that's where I hope we can contribute with this show. And I'm going to sign off like that. All right. All of you have a great week. Again, thanks for listening to the show. And I hope it meant something to you. And I really hope that the shows to come are going to be a lot of fun. And I really hope I don't have to talk for a whole hour again. Good God Almighty. All right. All of you have a great week. This is Sean DeRager with the Armchair Philosopher podcast, signing off. I'll talk to you all again next week. Bye. Au revoir.